Spies have always been the unsung heroes and villains of history, working from the shadows, using deception, cunning, and sheer bravery to shape the fate of nations. Today, we're diving deep into the world of espionage to uncover the greatest spies in history. These are the people who tipped the scales of power and changed the course of history forever. Ready? Let's go. Our first spy is nothing short of legendary, Virginia Hall, also known as the Limping Lady. Born in Baltimore, she seemed destined for an ordinary life, but after an unfortunate accident cost her leg, her life took an unexpected turn. She became one of the most feared and effective Allied spies in WWII. The Nazis knew her only by her code name, and they hunted her ruthlessly, branding her as the most dangerous spy in Europe. Imagine this. Hall wasn't just evading the Nazis, she was organizing resistance movements, conducting sabotage, and even smuggling weapons to the French resistance, all while limping on a wooden leg, which she affectionately called Cuthbert. Her most daring feat, escaping across the Pyrenees Mountains in the dead of winter, outwitting her Nazi pursuers with nothing but grit and determination. Virginia Hall is proof that sheer willpower can defeat the most terrifying of enemies. But Hall's story doesn't end there. After escaping to Spain, she returned to France and continued her work, all while undercover as a milkmaid. Despite being constantly on the run, she helped pave the way for the Allied invasion of France. A true hero, Hall showed us that spying isn't about strength, it's about smarts. Next, we head into the murky waters of the Cold War, a time when paranoia ran deep and enemies hid in plain sight. Enter Oleg Gordievsky, a KGB colonel turned British spy. Oleg was right at the heart of Soviet intelligence, feeding critical information to MI6 for over a decade. What made him so remarkable was that he wasn't a small-time player. He was one of the highest-ranking KGB officers in London, and he used his position to play both sides like a master chess player. But here's the twist. His cover was blown in 1985, and he was called back to Moscow for interrogation. Knowing what awaited him, Oleg launched a daring escape plan, one straight out of a Hollywood thriller. With the help of MI6, he was smuggled out of the Soviet Union in the trunk of a car, avoiding checkpoints, guards, and certain death. This wasn't just any escape, it was one of the greatest exfiltrations in history, and it helped the West gain critical insight into Soviet operations during the Cold War. But not all spies relied on gadgets or clever escapes. Some used the oldest trick in the book, seduction. Mata Hari, a name that still fascinates to this day, was an exotic dancer who captured the hearts of powerful men during World War I. But beneath the glamour and allure, she was playing a dangerous game of espionage. Was she spying for the French, the Germans, or maybe even both? Mata Hari's story is shrouded in mystery and scandal. She was arrested by the French, charged with being a double agent, and ultimately executed by firing squad. But to this day, historians debate her true role. Was she truly guilty, or was she framed as a scapegoat for the failures of others? Regardless, her legacy as one of history's most enigmatic spies lives on, reminding us that in espionage, appearances can be deceiving. World War II was a battlefield not just for soldiers, but for spies and deceivers too. Enter Juan Pujol García, known by his codename Garbo. This man, a Spaniard with no military experience, convinced both the British and the Germans that he was their man. He created an entire network of fake spies. Yes, you heard that right. He invented an army of imaginary agents to pass false information to the Nazis. And the most brilliant part? The Nazis bought it hook, line, and sinker. Garbo's crowning achievement? He tricked Hitler into believing that the D-Day invasion would happen somewhere else, far from Normandy. His deception kept German forces away from the real invasion site, allowing the Allies to land and gain a foothold in Europe. Garbo's efforts were so effective that after the war, he received medals from both sides, one from the Nazis and one from the Allies. Now that's some serious spy work, but not all spies were heroes. Some were traitors. Aldrich Ames is a name that still sends chills down the spine of the CIA. Once a top CIA officer, Ames shockingly became one of the most damaging double agents in American history. Over the course of nearly a decade, he sold top-secret information to the Soviet Union, betraying his own country and leading to the deaths of countless CIA assets. What makes Ames' betrayal so devastating is the sheer scale of his treachery. His leaks caused an intelligence crisis within the CIA, unraveling operations and costing lives. When he was finally caught, the damage had already been done. Ames's story is a chilling reminder that sometimes the biggest threats come from within. But let's not forget the spies who used their wits to fight back against oppression. Noor Inayat Khan, a British agent of Indian descent, was one of the most fearless spies spies of WWII. As a radio operator, she worked deep inside enemy territory, sending critical messages back to London, despite constant Nazi surveillance. Radio operators were among the most hunted spies, and Noor knew her mission was a death sentence. But she carried on, evading capture for months. When she was eventually captured, Noor refused to give up her comrades, even under brutal torture. She was executed, but her legacy as one of the most brave and selfless spies of the war endures. Noor's story reminds us of the power of resilience and the sacrifices made in the name of freedom. From Mata Hari's seduction to Garbo's deception, from Virginia Hall's daring escape to Ames' treachery, these spies lived dangerous double lives, altering the course of history in ways we're still uncovering. Who would have thought that behind the scenes of every war, revolution, and global conflict, these invisible players were pulling the strings? Which of these incredible stories left you speechless? Let us know in the comments. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for more mind-blowing stories from history's shadows. You won't believe what we'll uncover next.